Welcome back, Defenders. Today we get to talk about North Korea. Putin submits treaty on strategic partnership with North Korea to the Russian parliament. These two are getting closer. Among the tenets of the treaty is a stipulation that either country must provide military assistance to the other in the case of an attack. The treaty was first signed by Putin and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un back in June of 2024. The defense pact officially enters into effect when both nations ratify the agreement. So on paper, this looks attractive to Putin and the Russians, because technically, North Korea has the largest military in the world by personnel. When you factor in active duty military, reserve, and paramilitary, they have 7.5 million soldiers in their military to some degree. Now, this might be confusing. How is this possible? The population of North Korea is only 26 million. 26 million, half are women. Yes, some North Korean women do serve in the military, but it's not compulsory. So let's just say 13 million guys living in North Korea, and 7.5 million of them are still under contract to some degree with their government to be serving in some capacity with the military. 7.5 million out of basically a pool of 13 million. So the very old and the children are pretty much the only guys being excluded from military service in the Kim regime. North Korea is an open-air prison. None of these 26 million people are allowed to leave. Nobody's allowed to come in. North Korea is the only country in the world that doesn't have internet access. It's the most undeveloped and backwater part of the entire world. The lights up here, this is China. The lights down here is South Korea. This is Jeju Island. This is Japan. And even up here, this is Vladivostok, Russia. North Korea doesn't have power, except for, the city of Pyongyang and the inner circle living right here. Kim Jong-un does this on purpose to his entire people, to control every asset, every facet of their daily lives, keeping all the men forced into the military to some degree, so they can't rise up against him and kill him. This is who the Russians are so desperate they're willing to partner with. Russia plans to involve North Korea in the war in Ukraine this fall. This is according to President Zelensky. This was part of his daily address the other day. Here's what he says. Among the main issues, the report of the intelligence agencies, the Foreign Intelligence Service, and the GUR, on the intentions of the Russians for this fall and winter. Everything is quite detailed. Practically, the inclusion of North Korea in the war, that is what is occurring. Partisans report North Korean troops are training near Mariupol. A Ukrainian partisan group said on Sunday it had spotted North Korean personnel in military training areas in occupied Donetsk. This is happening. So this is where we are. Ukraine is not just fighting one nuclear-powered state, they're now fighting two. How many North Korean soldiers are going to be recruited by the Russians and sent to Ukraine? We don't know. It could be limited. It could just be one unit. Or Kim Jong-un could be bold, and he could send 500,000 soldiers to flood the war zone. We just don't know. Is this concerning? Of course. But I want to highlight the extremely low quality of the average North Korean soldier. And an incident that illustrates my point was from November of 2017. Soldier shot by North Korean guards as he defects to the south. Fleeing soldier is shot and injured by his own troops, but successfully escapes across the heavily border between North Korea and South Korea. This is the case of Oh Chung-sung. Oh Chung-sung, in 2017, decided to defect to the south. He was stationed at the DMZ, and let me just tell you of his story. During his escape, he stole a car and drove it directly to the military demarcation line. He rammed the car into a barricade. He then exited the car and sprinted across the MDL under close-range gunfire. his comrades were trying to kill him. Collapsing on the South Korean side under cover of a low wall meters away from the MDL. After being rescued by the South Korean forces, Oh was transported by helicopter to a hospital to receive surgery. Having lost half of his blood from 5 gunshot wounds, he successfully managed to escape. The entire thing was caught on camera by the South Koreans. I'll link the video down below if you want to see it for yourself. But what can we learn from this incident? What can we learn from the case of Oh Chung-sung? North Korean defector had a 27-centimeter parasitic worm in his stomach. Dozens of parasites and corn kernels found in man shot as he fled to South Korea, hinting at the extent of malnutrition in the north. I'll link this article down below, but the surgeon in South Korea said, "In my over 20-year-long career as a surgeon, I have only seen something like this in a textbook. This was the most unhealthy man, at age 25, that he had ever seen." And this border guard was the son of a North Korean general. This picture might look odd to you. Why are there so many frickin' medals on these guys' uniforms? And in North Korea, they have a 3-generation inheritance policy, meaning that when you serve in the military, you get to wear the medals that your father and grandfather earned. So this is a bunch of North Korean generals, and none of them have ever seen combat. None of them have ever led troops in the field of battle. They're all wearing their medals that their fathers and grandfathers from the Korean War earned. That's how absurd the North Korean military is. So this guy, 25, was the son of a North Korean general. And when he reached the South, he was asked, "Why did you do it? Why did you choose to defect to South Korea?" And he said he wanted Choco Pies. North Korean defector gets lifetime supply of Choco Pies. Oh Chung-sung, 25, is still recovering from a gunshot wound and a variety of ailments, including tuberculosis, hepatitis B, and parasitic worms. So once again, the North Korean soldiers stationed at the border are the best of the best. They're the children of the elite of Pyongyang, Kim's inner circle. These are the most trusted people in all of North Korea to be placed at the border, and one of them still ran for it at the first opportunity because he had once had a Choco Pie from South Korea, and he wanted more. When he awoke from surgery at the university, he casually mentioned he had a craving for the popular South Korean snack. Latte then hooked him up with a lifetime supply of Choco Pies. So this is who Russia is so desperate for, they're willing to accept recruits. I made this argument last year when this theory was proposed. I made this argument 3 months ago when Putin flew to Pyongyang to meet with Kim Jong-un. And sure enough, 18 North Korean soldiers have already gone AWOL near the Ukrainian border. A Ukrainian news site citing intelligence sources say the servicemen left their positions on the border between the Bryansk and Kursk regions of Russia. So there's a couple theories. What are these North Korean soldiers going to be used for? Yes, they might be used for meat assaults to help take the city of Kursk, but I don't even think the Russians trust them. So the theory is that Russia wants to place North Korean soldiers on the border. Just stick them in trenches where ideally Ukraine is never going to attack. This then frees up Russian units to redeploy to the war zone, and proper Russians can do the continued meat assaults. This isn't going to work. If these North Korean men are allowed outside of North Korea, they will murder their Russian overseers at the first opportunity and defect to the Ukrainians for some Choco Pies. All you have to do is blast K-pop music at them, drone drop some sweets because they don't have sugar in North Korea, and yeah, I think we can get these guys to defect. And I mean, any book you read, any documentary you watch, the people in North Korea are the most brainwashed and psychologically messed up people in the world. Once again, this is who the Russians are so desperate for. They're signing a mutual defense pact, saying that if North Korea gets into a war with anyone, they're going to come to their rescue. That's insane. So big picture, this is not a coincidence that North Korean troops are showing up in Ukraine 3 weeks prior to the US election. Currently, it's Tuesday, October 15th. We have exactly 3 weeks. Russia continues influence campaigns to support Trump's 2024 candidacy. Putin and the Russians are desperate for Donald Trump to return to the White House. Vladimir Putin's spies are plotting global chaos. Russia is enacting a revolutionary plan of sabotage, arson, and assassinations. So the intelligence 2 weeks ago, I made an entire video on this, is that the Russians are seriously considering attacking a US military base, potentially somewhere in the Middle East. Russia could just bomb an outpost, maybe in Iraq, try and kill 12 or 20 US soldiers. This then would be an international incident for Donald Trump to politically exploit to help him in the November election. If Putin and the Russians decide to kill American soldiers, Trump is not going to attack Putin. He's not going to attack the Russians. He's going to say, elect me, I'm good friends with Putin, I'm the only one that can avert World War III. If we allow Kamala Harris to be elected, the Russians are just going to kill more of our soldiers. We should give in. We should capitulate. We should just give the Russians what they want. This is what Putin and the Kremlin are seriously considering doing in the home stretch of our election. So this now brings in North Korea, because they also favor Trump. South Korean intelligence reports say that the DPRK may carry out military actions or other provocations near the DMZ to once again cause trouble. North Korea blows up parts of the inter-Korean road and rail links in a symbolic display of anger. I'll link the videos down below, there's no point. Nobody uses these roads or rails. North Korea cut off all commercial activity a long time ago. And, they blew up these roads and rails and they're just going to have to rebuild them the next time they have a summit in which they beg for humanitarian aid. But South Korea didn't do anything in the last couple months to deserve this. South Korea has been completely quiet. So why are the North Koreans acting up today, 3 weeks prior to the US election? And it's because of Trump. Donald Trump is Kim Jong-un's sugar daddy. These two, for some reason, love each other. That's not my opinion. Those are the words of Donald Trump. In 2018, he famously declared that he had fallen in love with Kim Jong-un, and yeah, this is highly inappropriate for the President of the United States to say this. If you haven't seen the clip, I'm going to play the clip.
Hey, that was a big, big problem. And the interesting, when I did it, and I was really being tough, and so was he, and we would go back and forth, and then we fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love. But you know what? Now they'll say, Donald Trump said they fell in love. How horrible. How horrible is that? So unprecedented.
Yeah, it's pretty unpresidential to say you're in love with the dictator of Kim Jong-un, who's a mass murderer. North Korea is one of the most oppressive and brutal dictatorial regimes in the entire world. And it's inappropriate for Donald Trump to say that he loves this man. Let me show you what a real democracy says in response to these provocations and threats. Here's the statement from South Korea. We clearly warn that if North Korea harms the security of our people, that day will be the end of the North Korean regime. This is the appropriate response from a democracy when a dictatorship threatens them. What's Viktor Orban doing? He doesn't want to be left out. Hungary's Orban blocks 50 billion aid for Ukraine to help Trump, as Hungarian Prime Minister declares he would open several bottles of champagne if Trump wins in November. His actions in Brussels are threatening a crucial 50 billion loan package for Ukraine from frozen Russian assets. I don't know how to any more clearly connect the dots here between Putin, Kim Jong-un, Viktor Orban, and other autocracies around the world. They're collaborating, they're working together, they're coordinating. And this is a serious concern over the next 3 weeks, that a US military base could be attacked, something more dramatic might occur, and they're doing it deliberately for Donald Trump to seize on that opportunity to skew and win the election. I hope it doesn't work. I hope it backfires if such an incident does occur, but people in America are kind of crazy right now. Here's Viktor Orban wearing a Trump hat. Let me play for you guys this clip from Sir William Browder. He's been a crucial advocate for going after oligarch money, and he outlines the risk and concern if Donald Trump is elected in 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is a terrifying moment for the whole world, really, in the sense that if Donald Trump becomes the next president, he will cut off military aid for Ukraine. Ukraine is totally dependent on U.S. military aid, and that will basically be handing some type of military victory to Russia and to Putin. And of course, that's not the end of the story, because Putin has designs on other parts of Europe. He's looking at Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, who are NATO members. And if he gets involved with those countries in a military way, then we have a treaty obligation to defend those countries. And then the question is, would Donald Trump honor that treaty obligation? And he's made all sorts of noises in his previous presidency about not liking to be part of NATO. And so this is a very scary moment, because we could be in a sort of World War III type of situation if Putin can run roughshod over Europe, because he no longer has to worry about American aid for Ukraine.
Ukraine is preventing World War III. Ukraine is not the start of World War III. If Ukraine can win and Russia can be militarily defeated, that's the end of that for now. But if Russia can take Ukraine, Russify the people, absorb the land, absorb their industry and resources, yeah, in a couple years, Putin's going to go for his next stepping stone, which will be a NATO country in the Baltics. Even if Donald Trump is president at the time and refuses to honor our treaties and obligations to our allies, probably the rest of Europe's going to war without the United States. That's a very bleak and dark future. Thankfully, this can be avoided. All we have to do is defeat Donald Trump on November 5th. I just got my mail-in ballot today. I'm in the crucial swing state of Nevada. It's actually not that crucial. It's only 6 electoral votes. Here's the thing. I'm going to stream on Election Day, but we're going to know who's going to win probably close to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when the polls close in Pennsylvania. If Kamala Harris decisively wins the state of Pennsylvania, Donald Trump can't win. Sure, there's unrealistic scenarios where he sweeps the rest of the swing states, but given that Pennsylvania is 19 electoral votes, it's going to come down to Pennsylvania. And then Kamala Harris basically only has to win 2 of the remaining 7 or so. So I might stream close to when the polls are closing in Pennsylvania. I can put up some cable news channels and we can discuss what's happening. I know there's a lot of people around the world who have anxiety right now, and it's bad. It's really bad, guys. But I promise you it will get better in 3 weeks once this election is over. Of course, Donald Trump is not going to concede. There's going to be court challenges, and it's going to get weird, but I'm confident he's going to be defeated like he was in 2020. Let's talk about some other stories. Unfortunately, not a good one. Russian troops are attempting to breach Ukrainian defenses in Kursk for 5 days in a row. Ukrainian forces are strengthening defensive positions despite ongoing Russian efforts to regain control. Russia retakes 100 square kilometers in Kursk Oblast over the last week. It's tough. Ukraine needs more support. They need more resources. This offensive into Kursk was a black eye for the Russians, and I think Putin is trying to retake this territory prior to November 5th so that when Donald Trump calls him, this isn't part of any negotiation. Russia is not willing to entertain okay, we'll give back this Ukrainian territory if we can get back our territory in Russia. Putin wants a clean sweep. He wants to destroy all the Ukrainian forces in this region, and then focus on a phone call in Trump in which he demands the city of Zaporizhia, 700,000 people. Putin says this city belongs to him. Kherson, pre-war population 300,000. Putin says this city belongs to him. It's not going to go well. Ukrainian POWs reportedly stripped naked, shot in Russia's Kursk region. Initial reports showed multiple bodies stripped naked with only their underwear on, lying face down on the ground after allegedly being shot by Russian troops after surrendering. This is the Russians continuing war crimes, and they're proud of it. Russian mill bloggers glorify execution, murder of Ukrainian POWs and frame them as acceptable in warfare. Popular Russian military bloggers, some with millions of followers, including soldiers, are actively promoting the execution of Ukrainian POWs. This rhetoric, amplified by Kremlin-affiliated channels, risks normalizing war crimes among Russian forces. This is just who the Russians are. This is just who they are. They glorify this. They need to be defeated. So Russia has size, Russia has mass, but their quality of soldiers aren't too great either. Let's check in with the average Russian soldier reporting from the front lines. And here's a video put out by 2 Russian service members who deserted their units after saying they were sick of being mistreated. So let's see what these 2 Russian soldiers have to say about what's going on the front. Hi, we're soldiers of the Russian Federation. I am Trutnev Yurovich, and with my teammate, I am Dmitry Ostrovsk, and we're from the 132nd Brigade, 109th Regiment. Yes, the 3rd Company. Under Prokop and Battalion Commander Gleiba, we've abandoned our positions, so these guys are officially deserters. Our last straw of patience has fallen, so to speak, from their lawlessness. Lawless orders, absurd orders, that drive us absolutely to slaughter. 2 of our comrades recently, for refusing to carry out the task of advancing through a minefield, as it later turned out, the same Prokop bombarded them with attacks. The guys got killed. So I guess 2 soldiers refused to advance or something, and then they were killed by their commanding officer. Their call signs were Baziak and Grim, the two of their comrades who were killed. Yes, Baziak and Grim. Our guys, the last straw for us was when our company commander contacted us in an inappropriate condition. Either he was drunk or something else was going on with him. And with him was Battalion Commander Gleiba. So they started giving us orders to move forward, and there was no point in moving forward because, well, it's a one-way ticket. Yeah, and we decided to pull back, retreat. Yeah, we laid down our weapons, we found civilians. Yeah, we're not cowards, we're not deserters, we just can't follow commands anymore, and we can't move forward under this kind of authority. Yeah, we're sick of it. Yes, we're asking for help to sort this out. To sort this out so that this video can give publicity, so they don't think we're some kind of cowards or deserters. No, we followed our orders, we've fought, we've served, and we've just had enough. Yeah, we're at the shelter now, we found a shelter, we were sheltered, we were fed, bathed, clothed, we're fine. We don't know, we've bypassed the roadblocks. Yeah, thank God, we don't know when we'll be in touch, but hopefully we'll get help and everything will be okay. Yeah, these men are going to die. They're deserters. It doesn't matter if their commanding officer was drunk, you have to obey him. And it doesn't matter if your commanding officer sends you to your death. That's the whole point of what the Russian military is doing right now. Meat assaults. Their job is just to absorb Ukrainian bullets until Ukraine runs out of bullets. They might wake up eventually, I don't know. So Russia needs more troops, and to have more troops, they need more babies. Russian women are not having enough kids to replace their declining population. So authorities in Russia have been trying to figure out how they can force Russian women to have more kids, and they're getting pretty close to introducing something in the Russian parliament to basically fine or illegalize childlessness. You have to have a family. So here is what this commentator on state TV is saying about the demographic crisis in Russia. Fertility and demography are not about morality. It's about the survival of society. We talked about this a few programs ago. The cost of the demography project to make it work is several tens of trillions of rubles a year. This money is to come from somewhere. Therefore, there should definitely be a tax on childlessness, and it should be large. How much of a percent? In this case, the percent depends on their income. The absolute figures for a childless family are between 30 and 40,000 rubles. That is money for maintaining a child from somebody else's family. Secondly, I would keep a childlessness tax for those who can't have children due to medical reasons. We should not divide medicine and finances. So you want to tax these people too, people who have fertility issues and they just, for whatever reason, can't have their own kids. Regardless of the reason a person in a family, somebody jumps in, is this fair? Regardless of the reason a person in a family is childless, they should still pay. The reason is another thing. And thirdly, one-child families also should pay, because a normal family is a two-child family. If you have one child in your family, then the tax on incomplete parenthood should also be, but at a reduced rate. So if you choose not to have children in Russia, you will be paying higher taxes, specifically a tax to fund the program to subsidize families that do have kids. And if you only have one child, 50% of the tax. I don't think this is going to work, but Russia's trying. Russia's illegal use of Starlink terminals hastened the fall of Vuhledar, according to the Washington Post. Russia has been importing and using Starlink terminals from Elon Musk in the occupied territories on the territory of Russia. I'm confident Elon Musk and Starlink know exactly where these terminals are, and they could be shut off if they wanted to. But Elon Musk doesn't want to do that. Elon Musk supports Russia. Elon Musk supports Donald Trump. And I know there's a lot of people out there who had a lot of respect and admiration for Musk, given everything he's done with Tesla and SpaceX, but this guy's insane now. He has completely lost his mind. I don't know what drugs he's on, but it has changed every aspect of his personality and outlook on life. Here's a tweet of Elon Musk from 2022. For Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. And now he is openly campaigning for Trump, which is illegal because he has his own super PAC, and it's a crime against federal law to have super PACs coordinating with candidates. So in a recent interview with Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk basically said if Trump loses, he's going to jail. I don't know if he'll go to jail, but he might get probation and a pretty hefty fine for all of the federal laws he's breaking right now. Breaking laws just assuming Trump will pardon him or drop all investigations if Trump can manage to win. So this is pretty concerning. To wrap up the video, I've got two clips for you. The first one is from a member of the UK Parliament, David Taylor, and check out what he mentioned in the halls of Parliament.
David Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In May, I was privileged to join a group called Help 99 in driving some pickup trucks and other military vehicles to Kyiv for use for Ukrainian soldiers on the front line. would the Minister agree to meet with me to discuss how we can make it easier for such groups to deliver these vehicles that are so desperately needed?
Minister.
I'd like to pay tribute to him and other parliamentary colleagues on all sides of the House for the work that they are doing in their constituencies to support our friends in Ukraine. I'll be very happy meeting him to see what we can do to further support theirs, because we will continue supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Help 99 is the donation platform for the guys of the 69th Sniffing Brigade. He said he did this convoy in May, so it wasn't one of my trucks. My trucks didn't start showing up till June, but that's pretty cool that the guys at NAFO got recognized on the floor of Parliament. Final clip I want to share is actually of an elderly Russian woman in the town of Suja. So this is a Russian woman who did not evacuate and is currently under Ukrainian military occupation in the town of Suja. I think the woman in this video talking to her is a journalist, and she just wants to speak with her, a Russian citizen in the occupied territories, to get her thoughts on Putin's war with Ukraine.
Українську мову розумієте?
Та ми, ви знаєте, і не русські, і не українці. Моя родненька.
Тут жили завжди.
Я вже тут живу.
Угу.
Я жила під Україною. У ліс ходила по гриби, під Україною. У Суму їздили по продукти. Тоді хліб був вкусний, там хороший. Ну, это много. Годов 40 тому назад.
Ага.
А сейчас уже все. Нас туда дорого. Не пускать устали нас туда. А не так хочеться, ви знаєте, туди. Просто, кажется, і пеша пішов, вона ніхто не пусте. От що ти мою душу туди тягне.
Так є евакуація, може ви захочете виїхати?
А туди зараз пропустять.
Так, так.
So this Russian granny 40 years ago used to enjoy going to Ukraine to pick mushrooms and buy delicious bread. This is what the people of Russia actually want, not Putin's war. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.